Hello mindful foodies, Inga from Health Origins here. So today we've got best sauteed cabbage, a Romanian recipe. So this recipe was suggested to me by my friend Elena, so thanks Elena. And the recipe is from whereismyspoon.com, and that's the recipe that my friend sent me to try. So thank you for that, and it is delicious. Even my husband, who's normally not enthused about eating cabbage dishes, really loved this sauteed cabbage. So let's begin. So for this, I'm using my stainless steel pot. The larger pot, the better, because we're gonna fit quite a bit of ingredients, and especially obviously cabbage. But it will wilt down, so I'll try and fit everything into this pot. But if you have a bigger pot, then by all means use that. And this recipe is perfect as a kind of standalone dish that you can have with, say, potatoes, or you can have it with some nice bread perhaps, or as a side dish. And I do have a couple of cabbage heads that I needed to use up little ones, so you can either use one large cabbage head and chop it up. So I've quartered it, took the core out, and then kind of sliced it into smallish size pieces. So use either one large cabbage head, or I used 1.5, I think, smaller ones. So let's do the water droplet test. There you go, see, perfect. The water is rolling around, it's not evaporating. This is perfect to put our onions in. So I've got one large or medium onion chopped that I've added here, and I'm gonna put a little pinch of salt here as well to just help the onion to release the liquid, the water. As you can see, it's browning straight away because it's really hot here. So I've got it on too hot. I've reduced it to kind of medium high, and I'm gonna put 1 tablespoon of water, and then I'm gonna saute this for about maybe 5 minutes until the onions are nice and translucent. I'm gonna add a couple more tablespoons. In fact, as I had my pot, gosh, there's so much steam. In fact, because I had my pot on very high, I think the onion is done after a couple of minutes. So I'm going to add 1 large red pepper that I've chopped, and 1 large carrot that I've chopped really small here as well. So I'm just adding those. And I'm gonna continue to dry fry these and adding water if it starts sticking for another couple of minutes. So it's been another couple of minutes here. The carrots and pepper have cooked a little bit, so I'm gonna add my spices. So we're gonna need 1 teaspoon of brown sugar. Well, actually I'm using rapadura, which is unrefined cane sugar. You could use just brown sugar or any kind of sugar. So a teaspoon of sugar basically, just to add that little bit of sweetness. Then we actually not that yet. I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, but you could use normal paprika. The recipe actually specifies just normal paprika, but I don't have any regular paprika, just smoked, but I think it adds to the flavor quite well. We're not gonna add salt or pepper yet. That'll be towards the end for flavoring. And the other thing we're gonna add is we need 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. 2 heaped tablespoons actually, so because that really mixed with onions and all the rest of the ingredients, and obviously the cabbage, that just gives really nice flavor. So 2 tablespoons, and I'm gonna just mix that through. And then 1 teaspoon of either savoury. So the original recipe states savoury, but I don't have savoury, so the closest replacement to that is thyme. The next closest is actually sage, and the third closest is marjoram, I believe. So yeah, but I've got thyme, so 1 teaspoon of dried thyme. So just mix that in. I'll just add a couple of tablespoons of water because it's starting to stick to the bottom a little bit. And this recipe, obviously, original recipe that I'm following, it used the oil to fry all of this. But since we are not using oil, we're just doing water frying. And in fact, we need to add our tomatoes, so that will give enough moisture. So this is 1 large tomato, but I didn't have any big tomatoes, so I just used plum tomatoes, like a few plum tomatoes I've chopped up. So just adding that, so that'll give a nice moistness and tanginess. And because the mini plum tomatoes are quite sweet, that'll add a little bit of sweetness as well. And we'll let that cook for a couple more minutes before adding the cabbage. So it's been a couple more minutes, and I can see that it's sticking to the bottom again. I'll add a couple more tablespoons of water, just to deglaze the bottom, make sure that it's not burning here. And now we're gonna start adding our cabbage. So we're gonna just add it in batches, as much as it kind of fits the first time. So I'll probably go into 2 or 3 batches. So I'll mix that through. So I've mixed that through about half, but I'll put the other half on top here. And we're gonna put the lid for just a couple of minutes, just to reduce it a little bit. So I'll just pop the lid. So I'm just gonna mix it all through. In fact, I probably could have done with more cabbage, because if it was like 1 big head, it probably would be more than this. And in fact, I'm gonna add 50 ml of water, so just under 1/4 of a cup, just for that additional bit of liquid here. But the rest will come from the actual cabbage. It will be sauteing in its own juices. And for this, you really need a good pot with like a quite well-sealing lid. This Zepter pot is excellent for that, because you want all the moisture to just stay in there, and you don't want to open it too often to stir it. So this is nice and mixed now. I'm gonna just close the lid, and we're gonna saute this on medium-low for 30 minutes, and I'm gonna mix it maybe once or twice in between, trying not to release too much moisture when I'm doing so. And we're gonna check then. So my cabbage has been sauteing for 30 minutes. I mixed it halfway through after 15 minutes, so let's see what we've got. Woof. So I took it off the heat, and let's have a look. Yeah, so it's nicely kind of softened and browned. Yeah, it's smelling good. So let me dish some and taste test it. Another ingredient I might add next time I make it, some caraway seeds, because cabbage and caraway seeds go so well together, so I might experiment and see which version I like better. But for now, I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit of salt. So I'll just take a pinch of salt and sprinkle it on my plate, because that's the best way to really consume salt, is just to sprinkle on your plate, because this way you consume much less than you normally would if you were gonna season the whole pot. And then I'm gonna put a little bit of pepper, and then just a tiny bit of chopped fresh parsley as well. Actually, also I forgot to add a teaspoon or 2 of red wine vinegar, so I'm gonna add a teaspoon here and a teaspoon here, just maybe just half a teaspoon on this one and about a teaspoon on the rest of it, just to add that bit of taste, because that's what the original recipe says. And then I'm gonna just mix this in as well. So you want to add this at the end as well, you don't need to cook with it. So yeah, so let me give this a go. Ooh, still steamy. This is so good. I actually almost prefer it cold, to be honest, as well, because you can eat it cold and hot. So when I had it cold, it was even better. But yeah, there's so much flavor in there. If you want your cabbage to stay a little bit sweeter and less sour, then add just a teaspoon of red white vinegar on the whole, you know, amount. And if you do like it a little bit more kind of zingy, a little bit more savory or sour, if you like, then you can put up to 2 teaspoons of red wine vinegar. So yeah, so give this a go and let me know what you thought of this best sauteed cabbage Romanian recipe. So thanks again for recommending this recipe, Elena. It is a delicious way to eat cabbage. If you like the recipe, give me a thumbs up, because your engagement helps me spread my message about plant food further. And if you're new to this channel, subscribe for more videos and recipes on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And as always, remember, food is fuel, so be mindful of what you put in the body. Until next time.